What's good, y'all? I'm your co-host Paris,
And I'm Haley.
and today we're talking about obedience and temptation. Let's talk.
Your girl.
How you doing, Miss Haley?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm chilling.
I know it's been a minute since we chopped it up. I missed you.
Missed y'all. I missed everybody.
I mean, but I'm talking to you.
For
So
sure,
you,
for
you
sure,
in
for sure, for
question.
sure,
But I
for
missed
sure.
y'all too, of
Definitely
course.
missed you.
I can't not miss the guys.
It felt longer than it was.
Honestly, yeah, because when Thursday came around, I was like, "There's definitely something I'm
I
supposed
need
to
to
be doing today."
right.
I was like, and I knew exactly what it was.
Right.
What it was.
That's just how that works.
That is true.
Okay, so I want to ask to you, what does obedience and temptation look like?
I think for me, being obedient in temptation is kind of like denying your flesh and your desires and things like that. Like, we're tempted to do all types of things that satisfy our own desires, but then in the same sense, it's like being obedient is listening to what God is telling you to do. Like, in scripture and God and Jesus' character, this will not align with them. So why are you doing those things? You're not being obedient to the commandments that they placed out for you,
Right.
Oh, I could listen my own self right here, cause yeah, it's honestly temptation it's a week by week, day by day, minute by minute type of deal. Like,
yeah,
you could walk out the door, boom, tempted to cuss, tempted to do something, just
I'm
all
saying.
types of things. And so, that would just kind of be mine. Just doing what's right, despite how you may feel about that. And what I mean by what's right is what God is calling us to do.
Right. So for me, I have obedience and temptation looks like even when you're within arm's reach of sin and don't feel like you feel the presence of God, or you feel like you can't hear him or see him moving in your life, to still be able to have integrity and be obedience. Right? Because it can feel like when we in these moments that, oh, I don't feel you.
Yeah.
Like, where you at? What's up? Or I feel like I don't hear you. Like, what's going on? But then we have to know, okay, I know he said he would never leave me or forsake me.
Yeah.
Even though it don't feel like that right now, that still stands.
Yeah.
So just
God
going back to like having that integrity of still doing it anyway. Like, even though I don't feel that, I'm still gonna be obedient.
I know, and I like how you said that as well, because I feel like a lot of times, which it kind of brings me to the scripture I wanted to read, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I just can't say no to that. Yes, you can. Right. You don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know how I can turn away from this sin or not do this, or it feels like the pull is just so strong.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of this scripture, 1 Corinthians 10:13, which pretty much, I mean, I'm gonna read it, but pretty much just kind of just like knowing God's nature, and like you were saying, like, he will never leave you or forsake you. So knowing that he's faithful to his children and the provisions that he set out for us.
Right.
And I wrote down, I was like, you can be certain that God will never allow you to be tempted beyond your ability to resist. And he always provides, that way out.
Yeah.
And so the scripture says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. And so realizing that it's like, although it might feel like an absence of presence or a voice or a feeling, since we're chasing feelings, I don't feel this way. Well, just because something is not a feeling doesn't mean it's not physically there. Or even in the omniscient like world and things like that. So realizing that, oh man, I'm losing my thought. I hate that. But no,
nah, you good.
Like, no, I really do hate that. But realizing that it's like, although it may feel like I can't do it, realizing that he's still there with me, and I have the power to overcome this, and look for that way out, because he will provide one for you. It might not be a door and glaring and blaring like everybody,
right? But you always got a window.
Yep. And I think that's nothing too. We read about, not to get too far off, but why I think people are like, well, I don't feel it because it's not this grandiose gesture. You know what I mean? We saw Jesus performing miracles in the Bible and things of that nature, striking rocks and water and things like that. You're like,
yeah,
whoa, that's mind blowing.
Like, that's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and so people are expecting something super significant and just like over the top when it's like, baby, he's coming to you in a whisper.
And when it's
you're
stuff like
missing
that,
it.
yeah, you will miss
'Cause you're too busy
what he's
looking
giving
for
to you because you looking for big.
yeah, and something that's just going to get your attention and is going to be blaring at you like a little stop sign. It's like, no, it might not be like that.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, even for me, it's not like that. It's
Mhm.
a little quiet voice, and I'm like, "Oh, rats, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you," and then I'll sit there and I'll get quiet, and then I'm like, "You talking to me?"
Right.
And then I hear something again. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're talking to me because you also told me the same thing a few days ago." You know what I mean? Just things like that, and realizing that he comes to us in different forms, and looking for that way out. It might not be a door slamming. You know what I mean? It could be a
Right.
little window. It might even be a little crack of the door, but you
Mhm.
see that it's open, so go through it. So
Right.
yeah, for sure.
I have Matthew 4 verses 11, I mean 1 through 11, and basically like that's just talking about where we see Jesus is alone in the wilderness for 40 days fasting, and just as he's finishing up his fast, that's when he gets tempted. So it's like you can be right there, like so close to finishing, and now he come. And now
Girl.
hold on, let's peep this though. Now imagine you starving for 40 days and 40 nights, and the devil come tempt you with bread. What you mean? You know I'm hungry. What's
Yeah.
up? And then okay, one more. Imagine having to leave your kingdom in heaven, the actual heaven,
Yeah. Not
the
just
real
like
heaven.
not some little made up one. The real
Right,
deal. Real
being
deal.
surrounded by praise and love, to being alone in the wilderness, and the devil come offering you a kingdom, all the kingdoms of the world, not just a regular kingdom.
Of the world.
Right.
You can be
And then we can go
somebody.
one more. Imagine coming to earth to show the world truth and prove that you are God to all people, and all of a sudden you alone, away from the people that you came here for in the first place.
Yes.
Right. And the devil offers you the opportunity to prove you are who you say you are.
And then to add on to that, like you were saying, alone and away from the people that you came here to save, and those people are rejecting you.
Right.
Like, let's not forget that you've been showing people who you are, and they're blatantly rejecting you. And
Right.
then, like you said, offering you, a way to prove yourself, and it's like, baby, I've been doing that, and I don't got to prove nothing to nobody. You know who I
Right.
am. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like in that moment, like there had to have been a level of integrity. Like even though nobody's around, I'm still gonna do what I came here to do. I'm still gonna do what I said I was gonna do.
And then even like what you were saying with that too, and that's why I just want to add this little point
Mhm.
about the desires, because how it was like it's the desires of like your own heart. It was a desire. If God would have sent Christ here if it wasn't a desire of His for us to be in alignment with Him and living with Him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Jesus was in that wilderness, hungry. You wanted something to eat. You desired to
Right.
eat, and it's like he was, and by he I mean the devil, the enemy. He plays on the things that
You want the most.
like really, and the things that you
Desire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
And it's always a lot of times I notice in like times of vulnerability.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like in this case, hungry. You
Right.
fatigued.
Hungry as heck.
For real. You need
Real hungry.
Baby, you need a bite. All caps, okay? All caps. You need a bite.
Right.
And realizing that, and then also too, the desire. It was a desire for the people to know who Christ was, and it was like, well, I mean, I could, because he very well could have showed everybody who he was in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like you were
Right.
saying, falling back on that integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is what I want to do, but this is something that is greater than I. It's greater than me. And so considering that as well, like it needs to be not so self-centered. You know what I mean? And I noticed that that's when I can kind of feel like, oh, okay, is this something I would do? Or something you would do.
Right.
This ain't looking like you. So I shouldn't be doing it either. Because it doesn't align with who you are. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for him to say, like, I know it looks like I'm alone right now, but I know that God meant it when he said he would never leave me. So even though I don't feel him with my senses, I still choose to be obedient because my spirit is near to him 24/7, 365.
I know that's right.
Right. And 40 days is a long time and 40 nights is longer.
Yeah.
Especially when you fasting.
Mhm.
Because like I don't know about y'all, but when my fast comes to the end, oh, I'm looking at the stopwatch.
Yeah.
1 second, 2 second. I'm ready for some food. What you mean? So
No.
it's like for him, even in that, like when you finishing up a fast, you kind of eager to like, let me get something in my stomach. So it's like for him to be patient in that moment and still be obedient.
Yeah.
When what you really want, I'm trying to give it to you.
That is true. That's real.
That is like the number one display of being obedient in temptation for me.
Yeah. For sure. And like I kind of made note of like just like submitting to God and submitting yourself to God, like he was saying, like I'm not alone, and I know I'm not alone.
Right.
You know, it might appear that way, but I know what's up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And resisting like I'm resisting the devil, and that's why I like James 4 for that narrative because it was saying like submit yourself then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then verse 8 says, "Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded, and then grieve, mourn, and wail." But really, more of just James 4, 7, and 8. Just flee from, like, he will flee from you if you turn to God and realizing that it's like, because, okay, like, you're rooted. And that's not saying that when you resist the enemy that you know he won't come back stronger, but he's realizing, okay, these tactics no longer work for you,
Right.
and so now I've got to go and regroup and come up with something a little bit stronger because it no longer has that hold on you like it used to. And then I also realize, you know, we're always talking about something has to die.
Right.
Is it the flesh dying or the spirit? And realizing that by resisting the enemy, that flesh is dying. You're crucifying the flesh by choosing to do what God wants you to do and submitting and being obedient to what he's telling you to do, despite the feelings or the circumstances that present themselves, you know? Like,
Right.
I think that's real for sure.
And I feel like in those moments we can kind of lose sight of what we know and kind of just focus in more on what's around us or what we see. You know, but the Bible says, you know, walk by faith, not by sight.
Yeah. The eyes
And
will deceive you, man.
yeah, we have to trust that we can trust him. And then I have Hebrews 4:15. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who was tempted in every way that we are, yet was without sin. So I feel like with that, that's saying like everything that you've been tempted with, whether you fail or not, God has been tempted by the same thing.
Yeah.
And when he said everything, I trust that he meant everything.
Yeah.
So it's like that tells me that okay, he can understand like what I'm experiencing right now. Like he can know what I feel because he's been tempted with the same thing. And I can look to him for answers because he went through it without falling.
Yeah, that was for me like that statement right there. That's a big one because like the whole there's nothing new under the sun, you know what I'm saying, and realizing that like he was tempted with everything and you rose above that. You still were steadfast in who you were and what your calling was and what you were supposed to do. And like leaning on him for that example for sure because we'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna fall. Like I couldn't have done that, you know, and then be quick. And then it's like, wait a minute, but I have the perfect example of what it means, you know, to be obedient in temptation, you know?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure.
All right.
You all right?
We finna do it. Okay, so oh my gosh. Okay. Recently, okay, and I'm finna get real like vulnerable right now. So y'all bear with me. Recently, okay, let's rewind a little bit. This time of semester for spring and fall, and when I say this time of semester, I mean as it's getting closer to the end.
Yes.
And as it's getting closer to finals, I tend to, in the past, I tend to um see that for what it is and be overwhelmed by it. And that can like start to feel like a lot. And then I'm out of state by myself. Like I don't really have nobody that been here before on some junk like that. And a few nights ago is when I started to feel that, girl, you got a lot to do type of feeling. And so I'm like, okay, but I ain't like let that bother me in that moment. But the next day I was chilling, I was in the car, listening to worship music, and I was just telling God, I was like, I'm happy. Like you make me happy. And that night I was like really sad. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, talk to me because I was just saying how happy I was, and now like there's a whole nother story. And in the past, around this time is when I would start back smoking. Right? From my freshman year to last semester, that hasn't changed. But this semester, I'm seeing it like, okay, like I know what happened in the past. And I'm not like trying to do that again. I don't want to let that happen again. So I was on the phone with my boyfriend. Shout out, baby. I love you. Heart, heart, heart. Um, I was talking to him and I was telling him like about everything. And I was saying like how in this moment, I feel like what I need is for him to be here. Not him as for my boyfriend, but him as in God. I just really need him to be here. Like I need to see him. I need to feel him. I need to have him in my face. Because if I try to do this by myself, I'm gonna fall.
Yeah.
Like it is no way around it. I'm for sure gonna fall. And then I get the question, well, what if you don't? What if you don't feel that? Or what if you don't feel like you hear me? So
Yeah, what
then
are you
I'm
gonna
like,
do?
okay, like there still has to be integrity. Like I still have to be able to say, well, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like I'm still gonna be obedient. But there were times where I've tried to do those things and cry out every day. And I'm not saying that God took a back seat because I know He was there with me, but I think it was more so to show me that this is like to put the mirror in front of myself when I try to take things into my own hands. And that was when I failed in the past. So now I'm like, okay, I can't take this into my own hands. Like, first of all, my hand's not big enough, and we could just leave that there. So I'm like, okay, if I don't feel all of that, then what? Like, I know what I have to do, but what I have to do doesn't feel like what I want to do. And my boyfriend told me something that's like kind of gonna stick with me. And he said, well, if you don't feel him, then you have to remember that God inhabits the worship of his people. So he's living in your worship. So whenever you don't feel that, just go and worship. And he'll be there living in that worship. And that's how you know he's with you. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can do my best to do that. And today I just been listening to like worship music. Um it's been hitting home a lot harder just because it's that time of semester.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know I'm not gonna be able to do this by myself. So I'm gonna have to like pull out 100% worship because if I try to do this by myself, I will start smoking again. And that's not what I want to do. Comments and concerns.
No concerns.
Right.
But no, I definitely understand that, and also like that point that you made when you were like kind of like being in the mirror, and I realized like God's role in temptation, things like that. Like He doesn't tempt us, but He will allow us to face our obstacles and tribulations and trials and things like that to kind of like almost like test where our characters and where our faithfulness is with Him. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think like And I even put like I wrote that down. I was like, remember, like all caps, like remember, God is faithful, and He will not allow us to be tempted past, like we were saying, like anything that you can handle.
Right.
And then like you were saying, like I know what I need to do, but it's not feeling like what I want to do.
Mhm.
And I even would have moments with God too, and I'll be sitting there like reading the Bible. I'd be like,
Right.
I need to talk to you, but I don't want to. Like, and it's like I don't mean that I don't want to, as like I don't want to, but it's like I don't know how to want to read the word and talk to you. I mean, like I'm praying, but I'm like that. I don't feel like that's enough, and I also even feel like some of that could be conviction and condemnation, because conviction's like, yeah, come on, you need to read that word. You
Right.
want to build your spiritual repertoire. You gotta get ingrained and know who I am.
Mhm.
But then on the flip of that, it's like, well, do you really even know Him? Because you're not reading your Bible. Yeah, you pray, but what you praying about? You know,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, you know. So no, I feel you on that as well. And even like for me, like we've had private conversations about girl that lust.
Right. And that's a whole
That one,
other thing.
that would be getting you, girl. And it's not even like, and I feel like it's really like lust of the eyes and things like that, and
Mhm.
just not listening after anybody's life, like sexual, like that boy bad.
Right.
And then I'm looking at you, and I'm like, oh, I should not be looking at you like that.
Right. On
And
some junk like they out here tonight.
go what legs out, don't hurt him. Like,
But I love my man, so yeah.
right, exactly.
He out
That
here
was just a
today.
kiki haha.
He out here
But
today.
there's nothing funny.
Right.
But like realizing that and like feeling that, I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. And then I know He's talking to me, and then with that obedience, because I know some strongholds cannot be broken other than through prayer and fasting.
Right.
And lust, I truly in my heart of hearts believe that that is the one. Because that is the one He tells us to flee.
Like, don't even try to fight that,
Because you're Paris, every time.
Every
You're
time.
losing. This is a battle that has not yet been won. What do you mean?
Right.
And realizing that, like, okay. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, I know I need to fast. But like, I don't know how. Boom. Instagram feeds all about fasting. And how I knew. Y'all, let me tell y'all. This boy, I don't know what I was doing, but I just saw him out and about, shirt in all caps, said fast on it.
You lying.
I am not. I said, oh my gosh. And no, literally, I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, because that's you.
Right.
You're talking to me. Like,
Right.
I know you're talking to me, because for one, it was some thoughts that I was having earlier that day about like, okay, like I know I really need to fast. I need to lock in. Quit playing around. Like, seriously. And y'all, I still have a transparency moment. Still have not done it. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I'm realizing that I'm like, okay, so how bad do you really want it? Because you're just sitting here and you're trying to take matters into your own hands,
Right.
and you're failing, and you're realizing that you're failing, but I don't feel like. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm keeping myself in a cycle of lukewarmness, because I'm toting that line too much for my liking, and I know I don't like that.
Right.
But you toting the line, so tell me, how bad do you want it? Because through your actions, you're not showing me nothing. Words with no motion behind them is just words. And so I'm like, okay. And like with that fast, I'm like, oh yeah, He talking to me, and I need to listen. And then even like with because for me, I feel like that's kind of with delayed obedience as well. That's still disobedience. I told you
Right.
to do this right now. I told you to tell your story, share your testimony right now.
Right.
You were like,
and y'all, I
"Oh,
did
no."
not want to.
Exactly.
Y'all should have seen me before we started the
Y'all,
filming.
Pookie was panting. Okay,
Y'all,
Like,
it was horrible.
But if you were like, oh well, maybe next time. No, I told you this one, and so now you're like, well, I was listening. No, you didn't, because I told you to do it this day, and you did the next. And so I'm like, okay, that too. And I'm like, I've got to be more. Man, I'm looking for a word. Intentional.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need to be more intentional with our relationship, and it's real. Like it's just really real. Then I can feel you with the whole school and everything, because
Hold on,
baby,
real quick.
no, please.
If y'all could see the shirt Haley got on right now, it literally says fast. I can't lie to you.
Yo,
I can't make this up.
He talking to me. I need to take heed, truly. Like truly, truly, and that's the thing. Like here's what I'm telling you. When I saw that boy's shirt,
When I saw your shirt,
I said, "Oh, okay,
right,
girl," because I was like silenced, and I sat there and I was like, and that's another thing too.
too stunned to speak.
The girl was too stunned, and I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh, like you were talking to me." Like for real, and sometimes it comes up in signs, symbols, other people's conversations, like all that, and I'm just like, okay, no, because yeah, I say I take you seriously, but I don't feel like I do. And then here we go with the feelings again.
Right,
But like
that junk deceitful.
but I really want that connection. But then it's like I don't feel like building that connection because I can
Right.
say with my heart, with my mind, and with my words, like I want to, and I really want to. But then it's like when it comes down to doing it, it's like
The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing.
girl, and that's why I need to ride up on that spirit and
Right.
neglect the flesh because somebody's winning,
Right, and
okay,
and somebody loses.
exactly. It's like something's done, and I'm like no, and like what I was talking about with the school, like I feel you on that. Cause I was talking about like God, like why I don't want to do my
It's starting to
school
feel
work.
like a lot.
Like even this, I was sitting there trying to type a paper before you came, and I was like, I'm still not done. I was just like, dang, I got one more thing to do. Got to read about 50 pages tonight for this one class, and I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, okay. And then when moments like that happen, I'm like, look, Haley, you are living in answered prayer. You sat there and was like, God, I don't got no money. Anybody I know don't got no money. How am I going to be able to come to school? He provided a way for you to come to school. My name is Jesus, $0 balance. You
right, amen,
saying?
amen.
And I'm like, and he's doing this, and by you I mean him. Like you're doing this for me. You've answered a prayer, and here I am, not being grateful, if you will, or sitting here and allowing the factors of what I was asking for
Right.
to make me not see that this is a blessing and this is what I was praying for. And so now I've been trying to change it, like the preparation, because I think I've said this before, like we don't really know what we're asking for sometimes.
Definitely not.
And then we get it, and then you mistreat it, misuse it because you were not equipped on how to handle it.
Then you don't store it that well,
Yeah.
and then you looking for other stuff, and you're not gonna get it because you don't even know how to take care of what you got right now.
Mm-hmm. And then that leads you back into temptation because you chasing what's comfortable, because comfortability is a desire of your own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just sit here and I think about that all the time, and I'm like, man. And then reflecting on some of the things that I fall to. So I'm like, okay, Ellie, what do this stuff say about you?
Right, like literally put the
Because-
mirror in your face.
Cause baby, you be talking about, well, I need to wash my mouth. Cussing like Papa How to Stay with Man.
Right.
Get it together. Because what does that say about you?
And then
You
what
know
are you saying
I mean?
about me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's T.
Like I just, it's a lot of. That's one thing I can say. Like God is very reflective. In my own experience, I've noticed that like it's a lot of like, here you go, this what you look like.
Or this the thing, this how he get you. When he always say them parables, and at the end of it, he be like, "Yeah, that was you." What do you mean?
Because what do you mean that story was about me?
That was about me.
That was about me. Oh no!
And you get teed up when you find out what really happened in the parable, and then you whole time that's you.
I know, and I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I have qualities, and I'm doing the things that so many of these people that I'm reading about, and I'm like, oh, I would never. Actually,
Right. Be careful.
Actually, baby, and that's another thing, you gotta know the power of never, because we serve a humbling God, and He will show you in a heartbeat, baby, what you would never do.
Oh no, for real.
Because please, I'd be sitting there, I'd be like, ooh,
Couldn't be me.
I should have closed my
Watch
mouth
it
on
be
that.
watch.
You know, yeah. And then
We gonna see.
no, girl, because He will show you, and I appreciate that. Because a little bit like before we had started recording, I was talking to Harrison about like getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and
Right.
I realized with transforming yourself around, you're going to be uncomfortable. Like He never said that this process was going to be easy or anything of that nature. I mean, you're literally going against everything that is in your nature,
Right.
like as human nature, and then you're surrounded by everything you're trying to go against, and you know, in the world, we call that a black sheep. Why you want to be so different? Why are you trying to be this? You're usually alienated because you're not assimilated with the masses, if you know what I mean. And it's like,
Right. I like that you said that. Hold on, I'm gonna let you
no,
finish.
no, go ahead,
Go.
no.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, for the people who don't know, hey, mama, and I'm one of 5 girls, and I'm the middle. So,
Yeah.
growing up, hey y'all. By the way, my sisters.
I love mine too. I'm the middle too, girl. I am.
Growing up, it was the 2 oldest together, 2 youngest together,
And you
and
flying
I'm just
solo.
kind of dolo.
Yep.
So that didn't really like leave me space to like voice opinions because I'm getting talked over.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I grew up kind of like shy in a way, like kind of timid, and I don't really like talking. So, like we said earlier, if y'all would have seen me having to actually talk about how I feel or like voice something, y'all, it was bad.
Yeah. Auntie was struggling, capital S.
It was
Okay.
before we hit record.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. We have to do the intro about 3-4 times. Not even gonna hold you.
That was
that was my fault.
Right.
But like prior to even doing
it was so much like y'all. It was some stuff going. It was some stuff going, and I also want to touch on another thing with childhood. Sorry, mama. Pop, you ain't gonna watch this, but you out there. Growing up, we really didn't, and we was talking about this before we started recording. We really didn't talk about like big stuff that was happening during my childhood, like stuff that could cause problems in our adult life. So and I didn't realize this until I got to college. I didn't know how to talk about stuff.
Yeah. I'm about to say, and then you start seeing like, I think like, not to cut you off, but like how people are like, I didn't know what good was until I had good, and that's not to talk bad about.
Or you don't know you had good until you got bad.
Yo. Because you're sitting there, and people are looking at you like, "Ooh, baby, that's not healthy." And you're like, "What you mean? This is what I know." And so, like, having that revelation and being like, "Oh yeah, like, I really don't know how to talk about things,
right?"
You know, and realizing that as an adult, so they have.
And then that comes up in relationships.
Yeah,
that comes up in friendships. Like, you don't know how to have a conversation, and it gets to the point to where I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna get you nowhere. I really have to learn that the hard way. Yeah.
No, I think that's a really valid statement.
Yeah.
For sure. A lot of just kind of like, I said this to one of my classmates a few minutes ago. I was like, just because you ignore something or don't acknowledge it doesn't mean it goes away.
Right. It don't solve the problem.
It makes it fester because it was left unaddressed. So now I'm harboring resentment towards you because I didn't get that off my chest. And I think that's where I was going with that. People,
right.
Yeah,
on,
and now you're realizing that, like, because I know you got something to it, but now you're realizing, like, now your presence just irritates me.
Right.
Behind something so trivial that could have been addressed way back then, but you didn't know how to handle conflict in a, in a respectful manner or just at all. And I think a lot of times, because people think communication is a common sense thing, you have to be taught how to talk to people, like, and how to navigate spaces with other people, especially folks that you don't agree with or just completely different from you, because you got to learn how to handle folks with care and how to communicate despite whatever conflicts or any interferences that can arise. So no, I feel on that, but resentment.
Yes. Okay, so where I was going with that was I was very tempted not to have that hard conversation and just get real vulnerable with y'all, because growing up, that's something we didn't do. So in my adult life, I find that very uncomfortable to do. I could have been tempted, and I was, to just let me shut up. Let me keep y'all out of my business. First of all, we can start there. And I feel like a lot of people feel like that. Well, I don't want people in my business, because I'm big on that.
Yeah.
I'm big on that. What's my business? It's my business. But this was something that I had to be obedient in, because God told me to talk about that.
Yeah.
So that was now that I'm looking at it, and this was like not planned at all, but he was showing me that I too can be obedient in temptation.
Yeah. I even feel you on that too, because like how you were talking about, you're used to just being like, "Ooh, let me not talk about that." With me,
Right.
with the lust, I was like, "Ooh, gosh, like maybe I shouldn't bring that up," you know. And but it's like there's nothing wrong with that, and I think a lot of times, like being able to have that representation or relatability, and like, okay, somebody else is struggling with this, especially from a feminine perspective,
Yes.
because
And we
it's
don't talk about that.
especially with like with lust. 'Cause
Yes, we don't
that's
talk about
usually
that.
associated with
Dudes.
sex and stuff. And
Dudes
like,
be the one that
and
be
I'll
like,
be
yeah, yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there and I'll be like, okay, so what make you think I want to take a bite? Just because I'm a lady.
Right.
Like, girl, I want to take a bite. What do you mean? And it's
Right.
like, okay, but, and so a lot of times we're tempted to just be hush hush about it because it's like, oh, that's so mannish to be horny or to have those desires and things
but
like that. And
that's
it's like,
regular.
and then I have to realize, okay, like, he created me in his image and his likeness.
Right.
I'm experiencing these for a reason. And then I saw this thing because I was on Instagram and there was another like Christian creator was talking about that, and it was like, but cast those onto God, like submit those desires unto Him and be like, okay, Lord, like I'm feeling this sign, you know, help a girl out. I need to think about something else.
Right.
Like, please help me because I don't. This is consuming me when
Right.
at this time really should be for you, and like, you know what I mean. Like, I'm spending too much time thinking about this and fixated on that when that time should be allotted for you and me seeking out you and your kingdom
Right.
more than anything. Because I mean, we know everything in this world. It's very finite. There is no eternalness to it, and
Right.
that little quick 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever the case may be, like
It's gonna be
that's
done.
exactly,
And that's just it.
And then now you're back with it, and then since the devil loves to feed off of your desires and things like that, but then post op, he gonna be like, "Ooh, why you do that? God don't love you," you know, and then
That's
boom, and then
crazy,
he start
bruh.
trying to eat away at you again, and so now he's trying to tempt you again to distance yourself from God, and it's like, oh, because God's mad at me because I sinned. Girl, he knew you was gonna do that. That doesn't make it right.
Right.
But like, every girl, because I got to put that part on there. That
Right.
does not make it right. But at the same time, you're his child, and he knows transformation is not going to be a right now thing. But you need to continue to keep striving. And by you, I'm talking to me too. Like, continue to
Right.
strive to seek him. And then casting those things onto him. Like, Lord, I can't deal with that.
Right.
I don't have the strength to take it in my own hands because I'm gonna roll that blunt. If
Oh,
I'm gonna roll it.
no, because let me tell you, this
I'm gonna call that boy.
This
Like,
week, that weekend, this weekend I just passed,
mm-hmm.
it was giving backwood,
Yeah.
backwood. Girl,
Yeah.
girl,
You're
it was
like-
not joking.
You're like,
I
oh.
say, what's really going on?
So what's really going on? What's
For
tea?
real.
Somebody please help me out here.
And then for me to be in the car worshiping, telling God how happy He makes me, and then as soon as I get home,
I mean, hit.
from the ride, I was
Yeah.
talking to Him from the ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'm set, like I sat in my car for like 2 hours outside of my apartment, looking at my window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like
I don't want to go
what?
in there.
Like, I just don't feel like being in there right
Yeah.
now.
And I think, and that's another thing too. It kind of gets me how you were saying, because you're like, I'm telling you how happy I am about you.
Right, and I
you being in my
get
life.
home from the drive that I was telling you.
Yeah.
What? I literally got in the shower. We gotta talk.
No.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
We was kicking it. We was cooling. We was vibing. I blinked, and I'm like, "Yo, like, you got to talk to me
Yeah.
because, like, you hear me respectfully. You got to let me know something.
Yeah.
Cause what didn't happen? Like, we was just, you feel me? Something shifted, and I missed it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And that also kind of brings me to the point a little bit of how, like, people are like, you know, when you first give your life to Christ, you're just so on fire, and then your fire kind of dims out a bit,
Right.
and then you find something that re-sparks it again. And I thought about it now, it's just like, okay, look, I gotta understand that it's about the sustainability, and I need to
Right.
and that's
Endurance.
yes, and I feel like chasing the feelings is what burns that fire out so much. Because it's better to have just a little bit and it's just flickering, but it's continuously flickering.
She talking
You
that
know
talk.
what I mean? Like continuously, even if it's little. And we were talking about the week before last about the conviction a little bit, even like with the lust. And I'm like, I told him, I said, God, like, I said, I've been doing stuff, and I feel like my heart is getting hard towards this sin, and I don't like that because I'm normal.
Right now, I'm seeing
Yes,
like,
because
okay,
I'm
something gotta give.
normalizing it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, okay, so you need to talk to me. But then I
For
sat there and I
real.
was like, okay, look, like, for me to be aware enough and acknowledge, like, okay, look, this, I'm getting a little too comfortable doing this, already shows that I'm having some type of conviction because I know what I'm doing is wrong.
Right.
Now, do better. Like, do better. But
And then it's like I already bit that cookie.
yeah, girl.
And now
Ate
it's
the
just
whole
sitting there.
thing.
Now it's just sitting there half eaten.
I know.
Somebody
I'm like, well,
gonna
I might
eat
as well finish it. And it's like, no. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't know. Like, and that's why I was kind of even not really wanting to talk about it a little bit too, because it was just like I can't really form how I feel about it just
Yeah.
yet, and like just put that into words. But that's how I was thinking. I was like, I don't want that. I said, because this is not of you, and I know what I should be doing, and I know to give it to you because I've done it before, and you've been taken away from me. So now I
Right.
know I'm choosing me over you. I know that, and it's like, oh, and then it just puts you in a spot, and I'm like,
No, I get
I
that.
need it.
It's because like this is the thing. Like
Too busy thinking you got it, baby. You're not the captain of this ship, okay? You're not.
I understand that. I understand that because it's like with lust. Oh my gosh, it's
Like,
I'm finding it.
No, for real, no.
I'm
Y'all, we might
finding
need to take.
No,
give
you
us
really
commercial
just
break.
gotta, girl.
Give it to him.
You
like,
got you
for
can't
real.
you can't. It's nothing you can.
No,
You really can't do nothing about. You got to give
Mhm.
that away.
and then that's like. And
Right.
like you said, like I've done it before. No, for real, right? Because I hear me stuttering over here, honey. Like because there's nothing to be said. Like
No, like it's and then when it's done, it's literally done. Like that's it.
And then now again, I'm like, dang, I've fallen into temptation. I know what it means to be obedient, but I'm not. And I chose not to.
Right.
And then so now I'm like, okay, we'll just move on. But I'm like, no, that's not the mentality to have either, because that's when I realized I started doing the normalization. Well, it's like, well, yeah, he'll forgive me. Wait a minute now. There's limits to the grace and the mercy, and that's where the hardening of the heart comes from.
And when you start to take advantage of that, that's when it starts to be presumptuous sin.
Yeah, and
because it's like, well, he gonna forgive me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I seen a video on TikTok when somebody was like, if I don't sin what he died for, I'm gonna make it count. I say, whoa,
that is
presumptuous
no, for
sin.
real.
You're gonna get got. I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna get got, and you're gonna be mad.
That is a very interesting take.
You're gonna be mad.
No, for real. Because that's the same thing.
Straight
Like,
up
get
devil.
Get your money's worth. No,
Get your
we're not getting nothing. We're not getting nothing.
That is crazy.
We're not getting none of that. But no, and then, like what you're saying though, and then I sat there and like that thought even crossed my mind too. Not the whole like, well, what did he die for, but the whole like you know,
he don't forgive me.
But I'm like, wait a minute, shut up, because what
Right,
you saying?
shut up.
Like, because you about to piss me off.
Right.
What do you mean? No. There is no. Well, you know, it's just a little white lie, baby. You lied.
You lied.
You put the color on it, try to make yourself feel like it was pure. You lied.
Straight
Okay?
up
You
lied.
lied. And thinking that, and then I'm like, okay. And then I'm also beating myself because I told you like I've called on him in those moments, and I got my way out. But that's what I was saying, and then realizing like, nah, all the other chances and tries, I didn't want to call you because I wanted to go through with that.
Even calling on him is a step to be like, bro, this is fun. I like this.
Yeah.
Like my flesh is loving how this feels, and to be like, God, because if we being real,
it's hard.
Is that what I'm saying? Like that's a whole step.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
like
I'm following.
If I can be like really transparent, it can be times where I'm like, ooh, let me just avoid you right quick.
Yeah.
So I can just go ahead and do what I feel, what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna come back. Just let me just turn away right quick. That's not.
And that's what I feel like. What you mean, like That's a great way to put it, because that's how I was feeling too. Like that temptation, like let me just turn a blind eye.
Real
Baby,
quick,
I'm over
just
your-
real quick.
Girl, I'm over your shoulder. I'm in your basement. like it's like
What we hiding from?
No, for real. I'm in
Right.
the car with the window down, looking at you like what? Like I'm right there, and like there is no turning a blind
No,
eye.
no, real
But-
quick.
But that's what I tell myself, to be like, oh well, he's not watching. No, he is.
Every time.
Like, and I just.
And then
oh,
when you actually like think about the fact, and you don't when you in these moments,
yeah,
you don't really think about the fact that God is standing
right there,
right there.
yeah.
And if you really did, if y'all can see Haley face, and if you really realize and you can see with your eyes, he's standing right there while you're actively getting active.
Yeah. It changes your perspective.
It's like,
For
whoa,
sure.
what about, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on?
And like what you were saying, even too, like even the calling, because that's you denying that. But like it takes a lot for you to even be like,
Right.
hey, I need some help. I need it out. And I know you cracked that window, but I'm looking for the door.
But I'm
I
trying
need
to.
the door. I'm still playing
I need an
around.
excuse.
Exactly. I'm still playing around. I am. Because I really don't want to call you, but I know that's what the obedient thing to do is. So I'm like, well, yeah. But I'm like, I really don't want to.
I mean, I know I should, but I'm
Girl.
living it up over here.
Right?
And you definitely live. Your flesh is definitely living it up.
You know,
But something gotta die.
and I'm glad you said that, because like it's in Matthew. I got to find it.
If
But
you
he
lose
was-
your life,
Yes,
there you go.
yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes. And like,
If you lose
Realize
your life
that-
for my sake, you will gain it.
and
Something along the line.
yes, no. Moral of the story, like,
Right.
the things that give you life.
But if you save your
Yeah.
life,
Mhm.
you will lose it.
You will.
There you
sure
go.
Will. No, that's it right there.
That's the one.
And I just couldn't give you chapter scripture. chapter
Right,
verse,
right.
you
I don't know the
understand?
addresses,
No.
man. I don't know the addresses. I know the landmarks.
It's right next to the McDonald's.
Somewhere up in Matthew.
But I
It
don't
say
know
that. I remember.
No, it don't. It sure does. And be like, okay, like, but to save my life, the life of the flesh,
Right.
you know, and realizing like, oh baby, I live for a $2 Tuesday. I live for the weekend.
Oh,
so I
and that's
can
a
give me
crazy thing to say.
No, well, truly I don't.
Know what I'm saying?
I'm
But
about
like
to say,
that's
you
a
know, yes.
crazy. Like if you really listen to what you're saying,
And
you
realize-
telling you saying what you living for.
and you can't.
I'm trying to live for the Lord.
No, for real. I need to go ahead, go home so I can roll that wood. Things like that. What you
That's
living
crazy.
for? And it's like, okay, realizing that in the power that's in that, I'm like, okay, so once again, like you were saying, the things that we give our time to, what does that say about us? You
Yeah.
know? And what does that also say about my stance and relationship with you, God?
Yes.
Because how bad do I want it? Do I really want this relationship? Because I'm totally denying. And I know and I know I am.
I'm just doing a little dancey
Just,
dance on the
girl,
line.
Putting my
I ain't
feet
cross it though,
No, for real. I was just
but I'm right there.
putting my toe in the pool water to see if it's cold or not. But it's cold.
Right.
And you been knew that because you done dipped your foot in there about 37 times. But you like the feeling, so you're gonna keep doing it. No, because you're telling me I'm serious about you, and by telling me and telling God, like, oh no, I'm serious about you in our relationship. But what are you doing to honor those words?
And here we go. Faith without works is
Girl, it's dead.
dead.
I mean, dead as a doorknob. No life.
Dead.
No life.
So you can talk all day, but if you ain't doing nothing to display that faith, you ain't doing nothing.
No, you're not.
You ain't doing nothing but talking.
No, truly, chatting it up, telling me what I want to hear. God is kind, not nice.
Right.
Okay, because
Right,
there's
right,
a
right,
difference
right.
between being kind and being nice. But just realizing that too, and I'm like, okay, and seeking out that obedience, looking for those ways out and those doors, so that even though I was close, you know, I didn't sin. And that's
Right.
another thing too, realizing that temptation does not mean you have sinned. A desire does not mean that you have sinned.
Right.
It's just
'Cause
something
that's
to try to get
natural.
you exactly, and that's what I was saying. Them feelings that you feeling, that is by design. There was no mistaking in that.
Right. It's just not time for them
It-
feelings.
Girl, you gotta
Y'all.
say that and realize
He never said no.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, just wait.
Not right now.
Just
for
hold
real.
on.
Not yet. Not yet.
Keep holding my hand. Keep holding my hand.
No, for real, please.
Like, he never said no.
No.
He just said not while you single,
Mhm.
not while you in a relationship, but when you're in covenant and you're
In
married.
marriage. For
That's
sure.
it. That's it.
For sure. See, like, well, that's my boyfriend. Well, is that your husband? You know,
Right,
and
you
that
know?
yeah. Ooh, goodness, pinching my temples, the bridge of my nose here.
Right.
But like, and I just realized that temptation and your desires. So temptation feeds off your desires, which ultimately are just devices to try to get you to sin.
Mhm.
You know, somebody even kind of brought that up with like secular music and stuff like that. They're like, okay, inherently in nature, secular music is not wrong. A Christmas song is a secular song, but
Because it's not glorifying God.
Thank you. Because
Right.
I was supposed to get, but thank you for doing that, Queen. Thank you,
Right.
appreciate you, Pookie. And realizing that like it's just the type of music, and certain
Mhm.
music could be used to as devices to get you. You sitting there bumping Kentrell, and I saw he just got released, and everybody is always happy about Kentrell.
Right.
Good old YB, and I'm like, oh, you know them songs. Now you over here doing missions and running up on people that was
And
used as
let
a
me
device.
just say,
Mhm.
when people sell their soul, those demons and spirits operate through them
Girl,
and activate through their music. So when you listen to their music and you nod your head,
it's being
actively,
passed right on to you,
actively
baby.
saying yes every nod you take. You rapping them lyrics, you inviting that spirit.
And I'm glad
You're
you
accepting
brought
that.
up, because it's even been artists in the industry that have said that. I mean, our brains, not to be saying all that, but like the frequencies and things like that. That's why certain sounds are in certain songs. All of that, it's by design, and that's one thing I don't like. How people are like, "Oh, it's a coincidence." No,
No,
baby,
the devil
everything
very
is a
sly.
No, and he is. And even sitting there, and I think about that too, and I'm like, okay, here I am battling with believing and not feeling you. I'm talking about feeling you as in God's presence and things of that nature. But here I got the enemy trying to get me away from you. How he believe in you more than me? Because he's trying so hard to get me to come over there with him because he knows that you are who you are.
Right.
Or he would not be busting and breaking every vertebrae in his back and neck to try to get me to go with him.
Right.
And I had to think about that. It's kind of something that kind of just came up right now when you brought about the spirits and how they transfer and things like that. And I'm like, okay, all these are attaching and latching onto me.
Right.
Some I done brought to myself, others unintentionally. I ain't shoot, baby. I'll hold myself accountable.
Right,
okay?
right. You got to.
You know, you dig yourself a hole sometimes, and then you gotta get on a powder and you need
right.
the strength of the Lord. But I'm realizing that I'm like, wait a minute, he going to war, trying to get me to come over there with him and dismiss the Lord, and realizing like, wait a minute, ain't no way he got more faith in you than I do, and I'm supposed to be your child. No, because now I got me messed up.
Because
Like,
I gotta refocus.
no, exactly. Realize I'm okay. Like, cause why are you trying so hard? And here I am, like, oh, God is mad at me, and you know, not saying that he's not who he says he is, but since I don't feel it, and I'm not feeling that attachment, like how strong. That was disgusting. What is the strength of our relationship? Like,
right.
How tight are we? You know? And then I'm like,
And then another thing with that is like, you gotta think back when you were in the world. There was no attacks.
Yeah.
There was just, I'm finna go roll this L.
Yep.
I'm finna go spark this blunt. Yeah. It was, I'm finna go lay in this bed.
Well,
we can leave that there.
Yeah.
And there was no battles. Now that I'm trying to follow God, Jesus Christ, now I got all these attacks, and I'm starting to feel them for what they actually are.
Catching straight.
And then it's like, if I wasn't on the right track, just as I was when I was doing whatever I wanted to do, then I wouldn't be getting attacked. Like, now that I am on the right track, everything is attacked. But that's how you gotta tell the difference. Like, you know you're doing something right when you are getting attacked. That's what I'm basically trying to say. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, I felt that too. But then also back on that accountability, because I about the lukewarmness, and this is pertaining, you know, to me. Like, yes, you're being attacked because you've converted over and you're trying to follow, you know, God and everything like that. But you invited some of these demons here. You know, some of them through that bloodline, which
Some of the doors was
I
opened
can't-
by you yourself.
girl, but
Right.
come on.
The second you decided to lay in that bed with that young man, that door opened.
Well.
Flung open.
Well, and you didn't drink that drink, smoke that smoke. You created an outlet, so now you're relaxed, and you're like, well, maybe I should call Pookie.
Right.
I've been missing him, and look at you. Like, look
Or when
at
you getting in a
you.
certain type of mood, and all of a sudden you trying to listen to Wet the Bed Chris Brown.
Yeah, oh,
T. All of a sudden you trying to listen to some
yeah.
Tiana Taylor, Tory Lanez, and I'm
Girl,
really
Party
exposing
Next-
myself.
Party Next Door,
And I'm really
new album.
exposing myself. Don't go listen to them songs, y'all, please.
please.
But I'm saying, and I'm talking to myself, you wonder why.
Yeah, and then I'm
And
like,
those are opening doors too.
mm-hmm. No, and like realizing that, like we said, you know, in previous like episodes, it's just kind of like, when y'all,
Bear with us.
no, for real, this is so awesome. You were talking about the music,
Right.
yeah, right. Yes, no, man, I cannot stand that. But yeah, like inviting that in, and so when you do those things, like it was like welcoming it,
And they
then
start
not
to spill out
realizing-
naturally.
Yeah, they're not realizing that, like, oh dang, like now it's attached to me because I allowed you to have that type of accent. By you, I mean those spirits. There was something else you said too. I cannot stand what happened.
Why you
Help me
think
out
on
with
that?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Why you
please.
think on that?
Keep us going.
You said something about like earlier
Uh-huh.
about when you first get in your walk with God and
Yeah, that
like
fire.
you really just on fire.
Oh yeah.
Y'all, let me tell y'all, when I first got saved and that first time falling, I was like, oh, let me start all the way over. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea or I could even do that. But when I said, let me start all the way over, I literally meant, let me start at Matthew chapter 1, which is the first book of the Bible that I
Yeah.
ever read. Like, let me completely start over. I couldn't do that. I already started.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought that was a good idea to do, but where I was going with that was with smoking. And you said some things are dropped off through fasting and praying, others are just dropped off.
Yeah.
Thankfully God had already been like preparing me for the process, because at that point it was already getting to where it's like I don't even want to go smoke right now.
Yeah.
So when I did get saved, I literally had like a wooden latch box where I used to keep all my stuff.
I know that's.
No, yeah, look, rebuked.
We leave that right there.
Right.
Gonna put a nail in it. Yeah.
I literally had a wooden latch box
Mm-hmm.
where I kept all my stuff. I threw that out no problem
Yeah.
because I was already being prepped for the process of letting stuff go. That's not the case with everybody.
Yes.
Some people still like struggle with that after getting saved.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that to say, for smoking to be a seasonal sin for me, as far as college goes,
Yeah.
is it kind of irritates me because when I first got saved, that was the easy part. That was the easy thing for me to drop off.
Yeah.
So now that it's seasonal, it's like, why is it so hard seasonally?
Because, and then I feel like to play off of that a little bit too is like what you were saying with that routine. It was just what you did,
Right.
You know. And so now it almost became like a crutch and a replacement for where you should have been feeling that time up with God. It was like, yeah, I can smoke cool right now.
Like
And that's
that
what you
junk
were
is
doing.
crazy.
And then like, and even it trickles into other areas too, like even like with whatever your, you know, vices or things of that nature, or whatever your little guilty pleasure, or like maybe I really could be reading my Bible, but I really want to watch this Netflix show.
Right.
And they is having mad sex in that Netflix show, but you struggling with lust, and now you're like, oh,
And you wonder
you-
why.
exactly. And that's what I'm saying, that opening and then just filling those places up with when that time really should be dedicated to God. And like even sitting there, I'll hear him and he'd be like, don't do that.
And
Like,
that go
okay.
overlooked.
It does.
It's like we don't understand that our eyes and ears, the things we listen to, the things we
are literally
see,
ports to
are
the mind.
gates.
Like literally to the mind.
Like if I wanted to get you,
yeah.
I will put something in front of you so you
and-
can see it.
And you gotta hear it.
So you can see it. Or this how they get you on TikTok when they have a video that has nothing to do with the sound. And then the sound is very,
Yeah, that is
you know what I
true.
mean?
You show
and they be
right.
doing that. They be doing that, and they be
You
getting me with that.
show
And I don't
right.
like that. Stop putting out my For You page because y'all be trying to get me. Y'all
Alright,
be trying to
cool.
get me.
Alright,
And I
cool.
always scroll, but sometimes,
Hey,
it catch you so off guard that you just get stuck and you like
and before you know it,
cold
you done
face
watched
still.
it. Mhm.
You don't watch the whole. You listen to the whole thing.
And I'm glad that you said that too, because a lot of times they talk about, like how like death and life is through the power of the tongue, because that's our output.
Yes.
But like you were saying, your eyes, I'm looking in what I see. I'm scanning the room. I take in that monitor. I take in you in this chair, and I'm processing that in my mind because
Right.
I was able to output that in words.
Now you think about it.
I'm listening to girl NLE and them talk about
Right.
SLUT. Wait a minute, brother. Wait a minute.
Slow
And now you
down,
sit
brother.
here and you like, oh yeah, it's cool to do this, it's cool to do that, because you're receiving that and processing that in, and now you're
Right.
projecting that out. And that's why I realized, I'm like, okay, look, with back to following and just being obedient to God, I'm like, okay, I gotta get in the word, because
And
like
the
you
Bible
said-
tell you that. Like,
It do.
guard
Yo,
yourself.
girl, with the quickness.
Guard yourself above
Mm.
all things. So I'm saying, like, make sure. Because if you don't, there's some stuff that's gonna trickle in.
Because you got 2 eyes, 2 ears, but 1 mouth.
Right.
And so you're taking in 4 times the amount of what you're putting out if you want to take it there.
Right.
And so I'm realizing, okay, what I put into me, physically, spiritually, whatever, all that matters, because that eventually is going to start spewing out and transposing through my actions, through the way I talk, how I carry myself, all of that. And it's like, no, I need to be full of you, and you, I mean,
Right.
God. Like, I need you running through me. I need to be sitting here like thinking of something like, oh, got a scripture for that,
Right.
you know. And even if I don't chapter verse, you know what I mean, book, I have the message and I got that, and I'm like, okay, so now it's easier for me to, maybe I'm not. Yeah, easier is a good word.
Mhm.
Easier for me to maybe be like, oh no, I'm not gonna fall into that one no more, because I got this, and I've guarded my heart from that, and towards the thing and things like that. That's what I was saying, like, he switched up the tactics, and by he I mean the devil.
Right.
As we mature and grow and be more obedient, you know what I mean? When we continue to submit ourselves to God and what He's telling us to do,
Start to mask a lot
yeah,
more.
girl, and then it starts getting harder to discern what's really in front of you, because that wolf, baby, he was dressed up real nice like a sheep.
Right.
And I was like, look at this sheep. And then I got bit. Like, you know what I mean? Got bit. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know. Which you were deceived. Your eyes took it in,
Right.
didn't really process it, or you turned a blind eye to some of the glaring red flags or whatever the case may be. And it was just like, oh no, making excuses for that the same way we make excuses for our walk with
Everything
Him.
else.
Exactly. Oh, I'm too tired to read my Bible. No, you just don't want to.
Right.
You're comfortable with satisfying your flesh. And I even had that conversation with myself last night. I was like, you like doing what you like to do.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, Haley. Because here you go again.
Well,
Like, here you go. Like, you're starting up again.
what are we doing?
And I'm not ready. And I'm like, well,
what?
I had nothing to say.
Please,
because
what?
that was literally me. Like, well, what? Like,
You ain't got nothing to say.
he stuff popping up on your For You page. You got a fast shirt on. The boy had the fast. What
more you want?
Like, come on. And you're like, oh God, send me a sign.
You know, I done sent you plenty.
Girl, billboard on you.
I done
Like,
sent
what?
you plenty.
And I'm like, okay. You gonna be obedient? You gonna obey?
Right.
And it's like, that's the choice, and realizing that although temptation makes it feel harder, because now I've got something in front of me or inside of me, and by that I tap my forehead, like in your brain and your thoughts and things like that, weighing on my mental, that aligns with what my flesh wants to do.
Right.
And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, ooh, man, I can see it and I can hear it and it's in my head.
Right.
But you telling me to go left. But I really want to go right. But I'm like, okay.
Everything, as far as me, my body
Yes.
is telling me.
Yeah, it's telling me.
It's telling me everything that I want to hear.
Yeah. For real.
It
Like,
really
for real.
is.
And being able to I don't know, be just mature enough and
Obedient.
yes, and just be obedient and willing to surrender. You know what I mean? You was in there, I surrender all and everything and all that, and I'm like, but do you really? Because
Right.
all is ALL, not all as in, well, I can give up a little of this, a little of that. Now I'm not saying that things don't take time, because I feel you on that.
Right.
Some people get saved still smoking. Hello.
They need a little bit more
And
time, you
and
know?
realizing, okay, working on it. And that's why, like, even I had a conversation with my mama, and she was like, sometimes I just ask him, like, Lord, remove the taste.
No, for real.
Remove the desire. Like, make this not be a desire of mine no more. Like, this is
Right.
not of you, so it should not be of me. Get rid of it, please, with a quickness.
And,
And I
bro,
was like-
that's some junk.
And I was like, that's so true. And I sit there and I pray, and I'm like, Lord, like, please align my desires to be more with yours. I give you the out. You still doing what you want to do. Okay, so do you want your desires to be reflective of mine, or you just saying that because it makes you feel good about being mediocre in your walk?
Clark some teeth. Look,
Gripping my chest. Because, oh, wait a minute.
yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
because you're comfortable being just, oh, well, I'll do it when I want to. This is, we're not on your time here.
Y'all, we just witnessed God speak to Haley
Yeah, for
through
real.
Haley.
Y'all,
Y'all,
in the flesh.
he just got.
he did. He got me.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh.
And it came out before she knew it.
It really. That,
Bro,
baby, when I tell you I was gathered just a few minutes ago.
right? Well, hold on.
No.
I saw something. It was
Yeah.
like a video, and basically they were like how you were saying, like my head
Yeah.
and my you feel me? Everything else is
everything.
telling me to go this way. But in the video, they were saying how your heart knowledge has to become your head knowledge. So, like in the Bible, it says, I will send the Holy Spirit to write my words upon your heart, along those lines, and that becomes your heart knowledge.
Yeah.
But if your head is still telling you, let me go roll this L, but your heart is telling you something else, you have to make it like your business to make your heart knowledge become your head knowledge, so everything can align.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because it just promotes that unity. It's easy to infiltrate something that's already divided.
Right.
And so, like you were
Right.
saying, like, if your mind and your
Yes.
heart are not on one accord, it's easy for the enemy to be like, oh, Haley,
I got one of them.
for real.
I can get the other.
Right. Because eventually, one of them is going to surrender. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's typically the good that's like, well, because everything in you is screaming, well, I mean, you could do this, which is what you want to do, which honors your flesh. And so, once again, your heart is taking a back seat, because it's the good. And it's like, well, I'm outnumbered here. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just a little flame flickering about, trying to hold on to this tiny conviction here.
Right.
And realizing that, like, it's wild.
Let
It
me
is.
say this, because God literally just
Yes,
gave
please, I
me
saw you.
this.
I saw you catch it.
So
I saw you catch it, girl.
no, this is crazy. And this is for those scientific people. Your heart is what gives you life scientifically. And your brain is what controls your body scientifically. So if your mind is filled with these things of lust and all of this, your body is going to align with that, because your mind controls your body.
Yep.
But if in your heart is filled with life, and God is the life,
But your heart's not in control.
but your hey,
It's not.
and that is why it's all the more important to make your heart knowledge your head knowledge.
And I honestly feel like that's why he said that, of that. Like, your heart needs to be in your mind too, because they need to be together. Like
align my heart and my mind with the things of your word.
No, for real. Because right here it's thumping and bumping, but up here,
Right.
I don't really feel like reading.
It's in the thing that gives me life, but the thing that controls my life is not of you.
Oh.
Yes,
Don't hurt him.
I ain't hurting nobody.
Don't
Don't
hurt
look at me.
him.
That ain't for me.
No, for real. That's where he at. Don't hurt him.
I ain't hurting nobody.
I think about, like, no, yeah.
That's tea.
Ain't nothing to say. It was already said.
Dang.
Ain't nothing to say. That's real. And when they become that one, yeah, it becomes that much more difficult for them tactics to work because you got to dress them up differently. I've seen them now,
Right.
and we working together here. You know, we working
Right.
together, and that's also like why, for me, I don't know. I be having moments because I hear him in my head,
Right.
like it'd be like a little voice, and then but then I'm like, okay, you know, but I'm still thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. Allowing myself to be worried, lusting, cursing, doing whatever, doing things that are not you. But I hear you up here, so I'm like, why are you up there with all that madness? Like,
right.
you know,
Or why did you put me up here with all of that?
ooh,
Oh.
hair,
Right. Why did you put me up here with all of that?
girl, you get like, no, like this is real, and this also kind of part of the reason why I was like a little reluctant to have like this topic because when I texted you, I was like, obedience is really on me,
Right. And
you
I was really
you
on
were like-
temptation
you
real
were
bad.
like, yeah, and then I'm in there, and they go together
Yo.
because you've got to know how to be obedient while being tempted. You know,
Right.
like I feel like that's where when people are like, ain't no real dub, but there's no adversity and things like that. Like you have to overcome something to kind of feel accomplished, and it's like that's not always the case. But in this instance, for me, I kind of see it because the temptation is a little bit of that adversity. Like I know what I should be
Gotta
doing.
overcome it.
Yeah, but I know what I need to do, which is being obedient in order to overcome that.
Right.
Kind of like, oh dang, it was remind me of that point that you had made earlier when you were kind of talking about like the norms and things like that, and how like when you were doing whatever you wanted to do,
it wasn't a problem.
Exactly, and it wasn't like
it really truly wasn't.
Like, this is not a kiki ha ha.
Right.
Ain't nothing funny. This is real. Like this is real. Like I wasn't. Everything was la 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 la. I was chilling. And I didn't have to be obedient to anything because I was obeying myself. I was the master of my life.
You made yourself your own God. And that's a whole nother thing.
Truly. I'm about to go touch some grass after this, run my fingertips through the blades
For
and stuff.
real.
This is intense. Like, but it's real or not. It was like, because of that. And like with the lesson, I'm like, okay, I know what I should be doing, but I don't want to. And I
don't really feel like it.
Exactly. Or you told me to do it on Monday, but I got to it on Wednesday.
But I still got to it.
No, yeah.
And that's not the point. But that ain't the point, though.
Come on, because it's not. Because I told you Monday, 8 a.m. What are you doing Wednesday, 11:59 p.m.? You're playing around. And you're still being disobedient because when I told you to do it, what did you do in replace of being obedient?
Right.
What you wanted to do. That's what you did.
And you made yourself.
Because you, come on.
Your own God.
Because you didn't do what I told you to do. And
she clocking
God, and I'm just realizing that, and I'm like, because, and it's like, well, and then you're still making, and that's why I noticed, like, how I feel like that's still disobedience when he says that, because I told you in that moment for a reason, and you said no, and you did what you wanted to do, and you did it on your own time. So once again, still making yourself your own God, and that's why I'm like, well, like I obeyed, yes, on your terms.
Real heavy on the I told you to do it when I told you to do it for a reason.
Yeah, because
now if I told you, Lord, I don't want to say that.
Girl, we don't wait a minute now.
No.
We're gonna wait a minute now. We'll
we clocking, but that was your tea.
Wait.
Yeah, that was your tea.
Oh no, do it.
Oh,
if it's already on the table, do
it.
We
clock it. But it's like it's on some like it. Well, if I told you to fast, when I told you to fast, you would never fail when you fail.
Yeah. No.
Yes. You would have never failed when you fail,
or you would not be continuously falling because you probably would have received some type of something in this.
I wasn't trying to go that far, Lord.
Oh, trust, my feelings are not hurt.
I wasn't trying to go that far, Lord.
If anybody know me, I'm not afraid of a little accountability.
And that's how it be, though. Like,
but no, that's real. Because if you would have, you would
never fail when you fail.
You wouldn't be sitting here talking about some. Oh, I'm just in this vicious cycle. I'm in this vicious cycle of sin, and oh man, woe me, I'm so helpless. No. And no, like you were like, oh, that's your girl.
I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, I don't want to say it.
Nah. He used you.
I
Let
would have
him
told
use
you off podcast, love.
No. On I don't chew.
All right,
Because
now.
that's what it is. And that's real. And realizing that. And so now I'm like, okay. I know what I need to do.
Right.
And I've been knowing. I've been wanting to do what I want to do. It's time. It's been time, truly. Time is
Right.
almost up. And you know, he don't play around because you could miss a blessing wasting time.
Literally.
Because I told you do it when I told you do it for
For
a
a reason.
And realizing that. And like, okay, now.
And if you believe that I actually have your best interest in heart,
you would
and I ain't gonna put you in no freaked up situation, and you still not listening to me.
You would heed my warning and my instruction. I'm trying to save you.
That is
I'm trying to save you.
right.
Yeah.
Follow me, I know thee well.
Yes, no, for real. That's real. That's what you said. He said, "Oh God, I want to say that."
For real, because
it's real.
bro.
And realizing that, I'm like, okay, tempted to do this, tempted to do that. Girl, you tempted to do a lot of things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some big.
I was tempted to take a nap before I went to work. Think I'm gonna do it? Nope, because I ain't gonna go to sleep tonight.
No, that's so real.
I ain't gonna make it to sleep.
Because ain't nobody talking about that post-work adrenaline that keeps
Right.
you up all night, girl.
Right.
I'm already knowing. But even then, it's like, okay, I know I shouldn't because it will lead to something else later on.
Right. And I'm telling you,
you
because
literally-
I see what's gonna happen.
You just gave it right there.
I see what you can't see.
Yeah.
And you just la 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 la.
Girl.
So like gullible.
Looking from to my left, to my right, to my right, to my left because red.
Just
red.
don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
Clueless.
Doing what you want to do. Not being
And I'm trying to tell
obedient.
you, hey, look,
Yeah.
they them boys around that corner. Like that Lord be having to tell me, don't go down there. The police.
Girl.
Look, I'm trying to let you know.
I'm trying to let you know.
I ain't trying to let you get got. Now I'm telling you, them boys around that corner.
Yeah.
Now if you take your tail down there, hey,
That's on you.
I done told you what it is. Same thing we're saying.
That is true.
Same thing.
And no, 100%. 100%. Because I mean, I can sit here and be like, well, I should be doing this, but you're not.
Right.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But you didn't.
Come on.
And that's what counted. You did or you didn't.
Right? Because when people ask you, well, what did you do today? Well, I was going to finish all this in a day, but I didn't get
But
no. What
I'm gonna
did
stop you at but.
No, for real. I'm gonna stop you at I was going to.
Right.
Because going to means
You didn't
never
do
got
it.
to
You
it.
ain't get to it.
you didn't get to it. Because what you mean going to?
Right.
I think about that, and I am grateful for this. It's even funny that you. One time I know you like, oh, I don't want to say that because when I was writing this last night, putting my notes, and I was like, I literally sat on there. I was like, God, I literally said that. I said, thank you for trusting me with this, as in this topic, and with Paris because we're doing this together,
Right.
And I realized like you gotta surround yourself, like that's why they talk about that fellowship and being around
Right.
godly individuals because
Even the Bible say men is not meant to be
Yeah.
alone.
no, it's not. And realizing, but still like having that, and you're like, oh, I didn't want to say it, but you did, and you were obedient, and you said it regardless of what I felt about it because
Yeah.
that would be being nice.
I was
trying
gonna
to
tell you
appease.
off podcast, but Haley don't care about that.
I don't.
So
I
soon
really-
it's up there.
I really don't. You were like, it's yours. I said, girl, it's already on the table.
I'm like, I'm gonna let you know after this.
It's already on the table. But
She said, "No, go ahead."
But that and that matters. And I mean it also helps that I've been able to learn how to be accountable and accept that because you need that. And you need
Right.
people in your life to be like, hey, you're falling by the wayside. You know what I mean? I know you're struggling with this and you're saying that and you're doing this and you're doing that, but we both know what it is. And
Right.
I'm going to help you get back to what it is. You
And
know
that
what I
was why it was so important for me to not keep
Mhm.
that inside. Because if I would have, I would have felt you the only person that know what's going on. You doing this by yourself.
Yeah.
Can't nobody help you. But can't nobody help me because don't nobody know.
Yeah.
Like if I let people in as far as let me voice this so I'm not fighting this by myself,
Mm-hmm.
then it limits how often or how heavy the devil can attack me because I have other people fighting for me too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of the stuff that we don't want to talk about, we probably should
Yeah.
in fellowship.
Yeah.
Like, don't just go talking to anybody because
Yeah, there
everybody
are
don't got your
monitored
best
spirits
interests at
out
heart.
there, baby, and they are looking for something to sip on. So
Right.
watch out for those spirits.
But I'm saying it's good to talk about those things in fellowship because you're not fighting by yourself no more.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they say it. It's in scripture.
Literally.
Like, baby, you're not being tempted beyond anything that you can't bear, and it's nothing that you're being tempted on that all mankind has not been exposed to either.
Right.
Like, you're not in this by yourself. And that matters because, like you said, we're not supposed to be alone. And a lot of times in isolation, I notice God and the devil both use isolation. God will sometimes use that to transform you and kind of like, okay, you was with them folks, I'm gonna bring you from away from them folks. You can see from the outside what that looks like. And now you didn't evolved and developed and grew up because you're now seeing it from the outside rather than being in it. When you're in it, you're a part of it, and you're like, oh, well, this is
not so bad.
Yeah, and then looking at it from outside, you're like, ooh, wait a minute.
Right.
But then I also noticed the enemy can use isolation. We're like, well, you're the only one going through this. You aren't by yourself.
Right.
Can't nobody else help you.
And he can do that through silencing you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not gonna understand, so ain't no point in telling them anyway.
Yep.
They don't know how you feel, and if you tell them, they ain't gonna do nothing but bash you for it. And that's how he gets you. Like, you really have to talk.
Yeah.
And I told you, Haley, like, they don't know this, but we talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, on some 101, I don't talk.
Yeah.
So for God to be like, okay, yeah, podcast, I say, Lord, what do you mean?
Because when I saw that message, I had to sit on that one. I was like, what? You want me? He told you to get me?
I said
he didn't. Our show was like, oh God, he did not.
Bro, I said, you want me to talk?
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk.
Yeah.
What is think? I don't think.
Yeah. But being obedient again and realizing like, okay, look, this is bigger than me. You know what I mean? It's so much bigger than me. And then even like we're doing it, and although I feel all these feelings of like unworthiness and things like that, and that's real life. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, that's real. Because I'm sitting here talking about lust and struggling, and then I'm like, but here you are telling people about God. Question mark, question mark.
See, and then
again, and it's coming out right now. And,
right.
And you can see it. And it's like, but then I'm like, wait a minute now. You ain't qualified. He don't call the qualified. Why would I take, like, what? You don't need, why would I take an able body, what I mean by able body is like, ain't nothing wrong with you, you know what I mean? Like, why would you need to go to the doctor? Ain't nothing wrong with you. I'm coming for the sick. You are sick, and I'm making you well.
Right.
Like, and realizing that, and it's just, the devil, he can cloud you and cloud your mind, get you thinking like, oh, I don't deserve this. I can't be doing this. I can't be doing that. But I say all that to say that despite feeling like I'm not the right person to be here, it's not about that. And it's not about me.
But even feeling like that, we still chose to, let me be obedient. Even though I'm tempted to say, nah, that ain't for me.
Yeah. Because I saw that written, I was going to be like, Paris, to be honest with you, I think I got like a lot going on.
No, literally.
But something paused me. And I was like, no. And something, God. And I'm like, no, let me not. And I sat there and boom, in my mind, that what I was saying, like, I immediately thought of Moses. When he told me, he was like, go get my people. And Moses was like, huh?
Wait.
Yeah, you want me to go King Pharaoh?
I don't, for real. I don't even talk good, for real.
No, literally
what you mean?
I be stumbling over my words.
Literally. They witness us.
Exactly. Stuttering. And even said that. Moses was like, I can't speak right. I be stumbling over my words. I don't know. I can't do this.
Right.
And I sat
what are you talking about?
And God gathered him. He was like, I know that. Go get my people. And I was like, oh, right. Because you're not qualified. I'm calling you to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, and that's when I even sent that to you. And I even told you, I said straight up, because I don't care. I was like, Paris, to be honest with you, I don't think I can do this.
Right.
I said, but.
No, God told me Haley was going to need a week.
I know. And I think I took a week and some change, like a week and a day.
And then when that week got there, he was like, she's going to need one more day.
I know.
I said, all right, Lord.
I know, because Sunday came, because I was like, oh, weeks. I was like, I told Person to text her. I said, I'm sitting here and I'm sweating, Lord. And then I sat there and I didn't. I was like, and I told her, I was like, but he qualifies.
Mhm.
You're not already qualified. He's the qualifier. And you was like, mm-hmm.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, you didn't really say that, but that was what it was. And I was like, yeah, yeah. I think he gonna get me through this, like,
right.
and he don't have a choice. We don't have a choice.
Oh, because if
I
not, it
can't
ain't gonna
do
get done.
No, for real, I can't do it. And leaning on him in that and obeying that. See,
Look.
y'all help me out now. But being obedient to that and his calling, I'm like, okay, this is you got me, because
right.
you wouldn't have said me if you weren't going to help me. And although tempted to do this, tempted to do that, I know that I can find that strength to overcome these things through you, like for real. And man, we got to, y'all. We got to rely on
For
him,
real.
especially in moments of temptation, because that's just the. I know I usually say like deception comes before because you deceive, like, oh well, it's just one time.
What? Yeah.
He forgives me anyway.
That one time.
Girl, at one time turned to 150, and he's sitting there
Real
like,
quick.
wait a minute, this supposed to be just a one and done. Well,
that one and done. You like that one too much
because you opened up that door, and I'm like, all right. So realizing that that deception is coming before it leads me into that temptation, but then what I do with the temptation and being tempted makes all the difference. I can cast it down, give it to him, be like, hey Lord, I need you to take this from me, big dog. I know I called on you a few minutes ago to take another one. I'm gonna need you for a lifetime, but you knew that.
Right. And you can take that to the bank.
Right? And he got you. He's not telling you to confide in him and lean on him and take up his yoke if he's not going to be there to front the burden.
Right.
Because that
would
mean that
his will, his bill.
Exactly. And that means that come on.
His will, his bill.
And that means that he would be lying if he said if he told you to do those things and then didn't help you. And one thing God is not is a liar. So same thing with being tempted beyond what you can bear.
Right.
Well, I just can't handle that. So you said God's lying? He a liar? He told you he was not going to. And I just couldn't see my way out. Yeah, because you didn't want to.
Right. He won't allow you to be tempted past what you can hold. Because like let for the people that might take those words and twist it, God tests you.
Yes.
Not tempts you. The devil tempts you, but the devil can't do anything without permission.
Yeah.
Whether it's you giving him that permission or God saying, okay. So when she says you won't be tempted past what you can bear, is you won't be tempted past what's allowed.
Yeah, and by that too, your ability and capability to turn away from those things.
Whether you open the door or God said, well, I'll prove you wrong. Go ahead and test him like he did Job. Now, I don't know. Nobody is praying for a Job season.
I'm not.
But
let me tell you, I'm not.
I ain't never heard of nobody pray for a Job season. But I'm saying,
yeah,
it happens. It happened.
It does. No, for real.
It happened.
That's what we got, Job.
So I'm saying, in that situation, Job ain't open that door. Yeah. Job was chilling out of his business, doing what he needed to do. It was the devil had to go and get permission from God to be like, oh, I've been going to and fro, looking who I can get, and I saw Job. And I'll bet you he gonna fall if you let me get him.
Yeah, it sure did. Sure did.
So he had to get permission.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, he can't do nothing
Job
without
playing around.
Whether it's your permission or God permission. He don't care who he get it from, as long as he get that stamp.
Yeah.
So be careful what doors you open in.
No. Truly.
You gotta be just stay obedient even in temptation. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It don't definitely feel good.
Yeah, I'm about to say definitely better coming from the tongue than than doing, for sure.
Right, but it's important to just have that integrity even when you feel like nobody's watching.
It is. And I also feel like it kind of changed my my relationship with God, as well, in those moments when I finally surrendered up that and was like, yeah, okay. And I finally surrendered to him and I was like, all right, I'm listening to you, Lord. I'm giving this to you because you told me to cast this onto you. And I realized, I'm like, wait, you really taking this up off of me. Like, Thank you. And it's not like I didn't believe, but it's one thing. Here we go to feel it. You know what I
Right.
mean? To feel it, and I'm like, wait, like I don't feel nothing no more. Thank you. You know. But yes, lean on him. He is our strength.
For sure.
He is. He is. But
I think
yeah.
that you got anything else?
I know we was
jumping.
Yeah, I'm about to say, but y'all know it's about being being obedient. Yeah.
It's just the moral of the story. It's just be obedient, man. It's been cool.
Yeah.
It's been green.
I miss y'all.
For sure. We missed y'all. Back and back. We gonna catch y'all, man. We out.